Hello man, this is how to get a girl wet. If you actually follow the advice that I'm going to teach you here, bro, you're gonna see how anytime that you step in a room and you actually get along with a girl, you're gonna see how she even like bite her lips when she's close to you. And even more than that, in the time that you guys are close to have sex, you're gonna put her pants down. You're gonna be shocked of how much she's aroused and she's into you. She's gonna be like shaking and everything even before you guys do anything. So pay attention to this. The first realization that I had with this was years ago. So when I was a teen and I was dating, I have girls that literally would text me, bro. I'm not joking. Like they wanted to fuck me. They would send messages or even sometimes pictures that they have been like touching themselves, thinking about me and that kind of stuff. And that was actually kind of surprising for me because I was looking like the guy that you see in the picture. And they will still be very into me, like very excited to meet me and everything and all that. It was like a lot of hype, right? So some girls would act like that, but others would be dry as fuck. I could be like literally having sex with a girl, bro, and she would be dry, like bored. Like in the time that I look at her face, she's not enjoying it at all. It's like she doesn't feel aroused or excited about me. For her, it looks like the act of having sex with me was more like a chore. And if you have ever experienced that, bro, you know how soul crushing that is. You're literally having sex with a girl that you like or even love, and she doesn't feel anything, no emotions. You know how that is, right? So when I was wondering which one was the problem, I literally asked the girls. They would say things like, "No, I'm just not a sexual girl. You know, I don't like sex that much. I'm more of a dry girl." And I was thinking like, all right, that makes sense, you know, because maybe girls are a lot different. Like some of them happen to be more wet, others like sex a little bit more. You know, it's kind of normal, right? That's what I thought for years until one of the girls that I was having sex in the past, I happened to be in her again, and she would tell me how after me she ended up sleeping with other guy, and she was like always enjoying it a lot, right? And she discovered that she actually liked sex a lot, and she was always like coming and everything, and that's something that never happened with me. And I was like, dang, okay, wait a minute, this was the case with her, right? If the problem wasn't her, the problem was actually me. What if she wasn't the only girl? What if all the girls that tell me that same story of I'm dry, I'm not a sexual girl, we're actually going through the same thing? When I started to think about it, I realized that it was my fault. It wasn't her, it was always me. I wasn't getting girls wet because of me, not because of how they were, their personality or whatever. When I started to make more research and experimenting with all this, I realized that all women are attracted to the same. It doesn't matter who they are, even if they're lesbians. They're gonna be attracted to a couple of traits that's going to make them feel aroused. And this is for all kind of women in all over the world. And that's what we want to talk about. My name is Jesus Noya, and I help men to last longer in bed, become sexually dominant, and be more attractive. All this while avoiding the deadly mistakes that I made through my sex life. After this video, bro, I promise that if you actually put in practice the advice, you will avoid, first of all, the pain of a dead bed when you guys haven't had sex in months. Dry sex with the girl's not even enjoying it at all, and you even see how she's like looking at her phone and everything while you're there trying to pound her as much as you can. Broken relationship because of how bad the sex life is when you guys feel that you're not compatible anymore. Or maybe even worse than that, potentially losing your woman to another man. Because as you haven't been able to satisfy her, to have sex that she actually enjoys, she's gonna start to look for an next man to get that part of her life solved. You will avoid all that just by following this advice. And you will also be able to, first of all, get girls wet for you even since the first date. Like the first time that she's gonna see you, bro, she's gonna be, as I said, like biting her lips and everything. This is also going to increase your sexual dominance where you take the lead and you do whatever you want to do with her. Boost your sex performance and even last longer. Like this session is going to be way more enjoyable than you think, and you're gonna be able to take it for more time. It's also going to elevate your SMV, your sex market value, and it's get to girls to masturbate because of you. Like the kind of text that I used to receive before, you're gonna be getting this all the time. So let's jump into it. What we're gonna cover is, first of all, what actually arouses women, the hypermasculine frame, the body, or also called non-verbal language, psychological excitement, and finally, how to integrate all this in sex. So what actually arouses women? So the arousal, it's mostly psychological. All the guys out there usually focus too much on those specific like physical tricks and all that, and they never get results because of this, because they don't work in the psychological traits that at the end is the thing that is going to make her feel properly aroused. That's a mistake that I made myself. That's why I was always like creeping girls out. So the two psychological traits that are worth building the most is, first of all, masculinity and charisma. I know the word masculinity brings a lot of confusion. Ultimately, a lot of people think that this is like, you know, like a hustle culture, like being toxic and everything, or manipulating and stuff. But it's not even close to that. Masculinity or masculine energy in general, I would describe it as having control of your life and your surroundings. A man that has control of himself and serve to a bigger purpose. And none of that could be toxic or bad or whatever. This actually turn on women a lot. According to, for example, Jack Donovan in his book The Way of Man, that is amazing by chance, the more masculine traits are things like strength, courage, mastery, and honor. All of that at the same time is like a control of the self. It's not being unchanged no matter what the BS that happens around you, right? So that's masculine energy. And the next one is charisma, and this is like the way that you present and market yourself and interact with others. So those are the two things that are able to arouse and get women wet for you, and nothing else is as strong as these two factors. A lot of people, when talking about this, they involve the concept of the SMV, that is the sex market value. Sex market value is usually looks, money, status, and social skills, right? And allegedly that's what defines how much girls are gonna be into you or attracted to you. But what happens is that things like money and status, that doesn't actually get girls wet. They're probably gonna be with you more in a relationship. But when we talk about sexual energy, like the fact that they actually want to fuck with you, that they want to get in top of you so you can be inside of her, those kind of things don't actually cause that. The main things that are going to always turn gears on are, as I said, masculinity and charisma. At least when it comes to the sexual part of they actually want to fuck with you, right? And to illustrate this, I want you to think about this guy. This is Timothy Chalamet, or however you pronounce his name. He actually has a very high SMB, right? Like he has the looks, he has the money, he has the status, and he has the social skills and whatever, right? But I want you to think about one thing. What kind of sexual reaction do you think he's gonna have on women? I'm not talking about like 16-year-old girls or whatever, right? I'm talking about like grown women, like hot women, thick women. Are those kind of women gonna be into him? They probably gonna go with him in a relationship or something like that, but like when it comes to, oh yeah, I want him inside of me, probably not, right? Because he looks like kind of soft, like kind of tender and everything, and it's not like that feeling of primal attraction, and it's because he doesn't have that much of that masculine energy around him, and that's what we want to avoid. We don't want girls to think that we are cute or anything like that, right? We want our women to be wet, to be sexually attracted to us, to be so aroused. In the moment that you touch like her leg or something, she shakes, and that's never going to happen having this kind of frame. So in the two extremes, when you go all in masculinity, this is what happens, and this is why I say that it works that much. If you see at the Eastern European couples, this is a joke that is now out on the internet, you see that the girls are usually like very beautiful, right? Like a perfect face, a perfect body and everything, but their husbands, they're usually ugly as fuck. And not even just like in the face, but like they could just be like simple or dumb, like even fat guys. But because of the masculine traits that they have and they bring to the relationship, that's why those kind of girls are into them. If you think about like, I don't know, like a Russian guy or whatever, right? Like a guy from Ukraine, those guys are scary, bro. Like if you look at them, they look like criminals and everything, but they doesn't necessarily have to be like that. It's just that they very strong, they very masculine, they very hardworking, and that's what attract those kind of women. That's why they're so into them. And even if you think about someone that is like that is like ugly and everything, but he has so much masculinity, he's still gonna have girls into him. And in the other side, when you have a lot of charisma, for example, even if you lack the other stuff, going to be like in this meme, right? And did you know something funny? This is the kind of memes that girls make. This wasn't made for a guy. Only a girl knows this joke. And I know that because I was laughing with this with a girl, right? Yeah, she had exactly the same experience of sleeping with a guy like this. So when a girl is with a guy that is very charismatic, she's not going to get that much even if he's like a loser or lives like this, right? Because of the amount of charisma that he has, he's still gonna have like even very beautiful women into him. And I know these are memes and everything, but bro, I'm telling you this from experience. I already seen this in real life, so take that into consideration. And this is what I meant at the beginning, that the SMV is not that important when it comes to sexual attraction. Like it helps, but these are by far the two most powerful factors, and has a lot of reaction in women. Like women are very reactive to this. But if you combine both, that's when you're unstoppable. That's when girls bite their lips when they see you. That's when she's like a waterfall just by you talking, right? And that's the effect that we want to cause. Legit, bro, like the level of reaction that you're gonna get for girls is insane, bro. I'm not even myself 100% in that state, but in the level that I reach, bro, believe me, it's totally worth it. Like the experiences that you're gonna have are gonna be so different that you're gonna be pissed with yourself for not putting this in practice before. So let's focus on building both of them. So the hypermasculine frame is a great way to express masculinity as a sexual energy, and you do this by dominating three main factors that are control, dominance, and power. And that's why Brad Pitt, for example, was so sex appealing for women around the early 2000s, because all the characters that he was playing were like this. He wasn't just only handsome, he expressed hyper-masculine in almost all his characters. So these are the three main traits that are going to build the hyper-masculine frame. Starting with control, is mainly control of the self. And the traits that build that, first of all, is discipline. Discipline is doing the things that you know that are hard and painful and you don't want to do, but you still do them because it's mandatory, because it's necessary, because they're going to help you grow and they're going to lead you to where you want to be. The maximum expression of control in general is always going to be discipline. It's commanding yourself consciously to do what you want, no matter what. That's why, for example, men in uniforms are sexy for women, like firemen and police and the military, just because it's risky and exciting, but also because it represents a lot of discipline, where they even like head themselves towards that on purpose for the sake of duty. And this also causes a lot of respect around men. Anytime that we see a disciplined man, we respect them because we know that the hard work that it requires. Building up your discipline in general is going to help you jump into this hyper masculine frame. Then we have goal seeking, and the thing around goals is not like the goals themselves. Everyone has goals, but what it turns them into a masculine trait is the fact of completion, the fact that we're going to strive to achieve them no matter what, and that requires a lot of work. A man that is masculine is a man that is going to achieve his goals no matter what, because he's going to put a lot of the effort. He doesn't care about the rest of the environment, what people says about him. He still walks straight forward to what he wants to achieve. We know that that's a very manly trait, but not only that, goals are very important, not because of the goals themselves, but because of what you need to do to achieve them. The bigger the goal, the more pain you're gonna have to go through, and that's why goal seeking is so important. That's what like it segregates this masculine energy. You're literally there sculpting yourself to be a different person, a better person. And finally, we have grit. So grit is things like perseverance, pain tolerance, and hard work. It's sticking to what you need to do even when things are very, very hard, even when you're going through tough times. And grit is especially important because if you actually have grit, if you actually have perseverance, it means that you don't bitch out easily, like you don't get scared or whatever, or you give up in difficult situations. Because when you do that, all the respect is gone from all the people around you, but especially from your girl. If a woman sees like bitching out or something, like giving up on stuff that you said you were going to do, bro, she's gonna be turned off instantly. She's going to look all the respect that she ever had for you one day. And it doesn't matter what you achieved before, it's like that never existed. So always try to have a mind grit. It doesn't matter what's happening in your life, don't give up, just finish it. Because if not, the other option is having a woman that literally feels gross on you. If there's something important and meaningful that you're doing, bro, finish it. So now we have dominance, and dominance is like control, but instead of having that control on ourselves, it's more about the environment that we are and the other people. The first thing around this is do whatever you want to do, and I'm not talking about like the things that you do because you feel like them. It's not like you feel like robbing someone then you go and do it. It's not that kind of stuff. It's more of the things that you genuinely like that at the same time are good for you and you still do them. You know, the things that are around to your personality, and no matter what people say about them, if they don't like it, you do whatever you want. This is what people call nowadays authenticity, and it's something that women appreciate a lot. Because when you don't have that, it's actually totally the opposite. It's a turn off for women when they see that you're doing stuff for others and not for yourself. That's why, for example, like the mommy boys, like, you know, the kind of guys that live with their mom and everything, and they're always doing what they say, that's where they're so disgusting for women, because they're living by others' expectations. The thing is that it doesn't necessarily have to be their mom. It could be their bosses, their family, the government, or whatever, right? A man that is letting himself to be guided by someone else is always going to be lame. Now, when it comes to women, it's kind of tricky because they're gonna be like actively saying that they want you to do things in a different way. But the funny stuff is that if you actually listen to them, they're going to be dry as fuck. They're going to be unhappy if you actually do what they're saying. And it's that you don't have to like pay her attention. Communication is very important, but you need to stick to your values and what is actually important for you. It's not changing opinions that are important and that you know that are right only because she's saying it, only because of her. And if a girl keeps trying to change you or like tell you that you're wrong or whatever, you need to know when you have to cut that relationship, because it's not worth that you change again the things that you know that are right for you and that are your values. So when there's no compatibility, you need to cut things off, and this comes very in line with the masculine trait of do whatever you want. You as a man have to take the lead, take the decisions, and the responsibility for guide you and your partner to a better place. But if you want that, it actually requires balls. You have to be the man that is capable of doing that. Now we see how doing whatever you want is actually a little bit more difficult, right? Because to do whatever you want, what you genuinely desire, you have to become the man that is capable of those actions, and that's kind of tough. But at the same time, it's very worth it. And when women see that you live like this, that you live by your own rules, you're gonna see the effect that you have on them. Trust me. Now we have physical size, and this comes like in her primal brain. If we go back to the ancient times or to the caveman times, a man that was bigger, not like necessarily muscular or fat, just bigger in any sense, was more capable of protecting her, and that's why she was going to be more attracted to that guy. It's one of the reasons of why women are more into tall men, and even sometimes women would choose a man that is bulky, like even a little bit fat and everything, over a guy that is like leaning and training and all that, just because of the fact that he's bigger. It's more about size. That's something that is very primal into their brain, and not only with women. Something that is like bigger, that occupies more space, it has like this energy of being a little bit more important, right? Like it has a little bit more of presence, and that's why physical size shows dominance. Now we have surpassing others, and as we said, dominance is more about like the rest of the people. So in general, with women, she wants you to be better than others. She may not say this like consciously, but what happens is that it's a normal instinct. We want our partner to be better than the others around. That way we feel more into our partner, more entitled, because while everyone is having like the crumbs, like low status guys, she's gonna be with the more desirable guy. And there's a lot of ways to surpass others around, but in general, you have to make her feel like you are the one with most status around, like you are the most important person. Now, as a warning for this, you don't have to let this consume you, because I know it's kind of difficult. You see other guys doing well and you're trying to catch up them, and that kind of like fuck your mental state a little bit. So what you want to do is focus on you and your own goals right now until you start to catch up. The more that you actually work on you and focus on the other stuff, you're gonna be eventually ahead of people. Because as we talk with grit, bro, like everyone surrenders, right? Everyone usually surrenders at one point, but if you're the one that is always like, you know, like focused on yourself and everything and like following and learning, you're gonna be ahead of people, bro. It's just how things work. So the way to show dominance by surpassing others is basically just focusing on yourself and trying to get to your goals as fast as possible. Finally, we have power, and the best expression of this, first of all, is physical strength. When you're not letting obstacles to be in your way, it's being more capable of doing more stuff. So when you have this physical strength, you show that to her, you know, like you can lift her up, carry her in your arms, you treat her the way you want, and that shows a lot of power and masculine energy. That's why strength is usually very important. Then we have decision power. As we said, that power is in general is just being capable. Decision power is like the capacity of making decisions adjusted to whatever the way you want. And we know the currency for this is usually money, because money unlocks almost everything in life. But you don't necessarily have to have, like when I was younger, for example, and I was broke as fuck, I still had decision power because I was, and I still am, a problem solver. Like, it doesn't matter the situation that I was in, I always find a way out. And girls will look at this and respect me because of that. Anything that I wanted to do, I could get the contacts, I could talk to the right people, I would always find a way, right? Like, we could be, for example, in the middle of nowhere in the night, and when nobody knew what to do, I would have like the contacts for the taxis and people that could come to pick us. I would have options, even when everything looked already lost. So with this, girls want to be with you more like in the long term, but it's going to also turn them on because they're gonna see you as a winner, as you unbeatable, as there's nothing that can stop you. And when you transmit that energy, bro, you're like her champion. That's going to make her fall in love very quick. And finally, we have execution. I know this one is very simple. It's basically just taking action where you know it's necessary. But I mention it again because a lot of people don't do this, right? That you can have power and all the rest of this stuff, but for some reasons, like, you still don't do the thing. You have the capacity, but you're not executing, and that's very lame for women and in general in life. The most common reasons for lack of execution, first of all, is fear. Like, even if you have the capacity and the power, you are scared of what could happen, and then you just don't do what you're supposed to do. And when women see this, bro, like, turn off completely. You lost her, right? Because she's gonna start to see you as a little bitch that is not capable of doing things that a man's supposed to do. And this is also very dangerous, especially when you don't stick to your word. When you say that you were going to do something, bro, and you don't, then you're, you know, like a scam, like a fake person. And not even our women, bro. That's disgusting to yourself. You have to stick to your honor and your word no matter what. So I know you've been looking at the image of the engine this whole time and wondering why is there, or how is this related to getting your sweat. But the thing is that all this work as a synergy. A synergy is like a bunch of factors that when are together work better than individually. So when you see, for example, the battery car of an engine, like by itself, without the rest of the stuff, it only provides electricity. Like, that's the only thing that it makes, right? Like, that's its only function. But when you put it inside the car with all the other pieces, with all the pipes and everything, then it's putting the car in motion. And that goes with all the other parts of the engine. Every single little piece that the engine has It has an individual function, but when they all together, they all move the car. That's synergy. And the same happens with control, dominance, and power. Like, they could work individually, but it's never going to be as close as when you put all of this together. The difference is going to be huge. So make sure you put in practice all of them as much as you can. And how do we put this in practice in real life? It's actually one that can give you all of them. And that's, bro, exercise. Yep, I know it's not a surprise, but I really want you to be aware of this, man. Please exercise. Like, no matter what you do, this is going to give you all of the factors, bro. Like, look at every single one of them. Exercise has everything. Exercise gives you discipline, goal seeking, grit, gives you physical size, it helps you to surpass others, it gives you physical strength, decision power. It's a matter of execution. And even with doing whatever you want, when you exercise and then you have the body and everything, then it's like you look at yourself and you're very proud and you feel great and way more confident, and that makes you way more capable of attracting women. Attracting women is something that you want, right? So if you exercise, you're making yourself capable of attracting women, and that's put in practice doing whatever you want. So really, please, man, exercise. Let me move myself here. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you do, like if it's running, martial arts, sports, whatever, just exercise. Just by doing that, you're gonna be way ahead of people, and it's going to put in practice all that we just talked about. But if I have to recommend a specific training, bro, it could be by far resistance training, because with resistance training, you're like trying to put yourself in as much pain as possible. Taking the muscle to failure, bro, it requires a lot of effort. It's like you force yourself to be in that zone of pain as much as you can, in that tension. It also helps you to grow more muscle, and that makes you bigger in a sense. So any kind of resistance training actually works. It could be calisthenics, crossfit, weightlifting, any kind of exercise where you basically take the muscle to failure. It's going to help you to embrace more of this hyper masculine frame. So now we're talking about exercise, I want you to look at these three pictures and answer the question in your head if you want. Which one arouses women more? Let me put myself here again. We have 1, 2, and 3. 1 is the skinny lean guy, second is the jack guy, and third is the bulky guy. Which one do you think is more attractive for women? Probably you already thought about it. It's the bulky guy. If you've been paying attention to what we talk about, you know that this guy was going to be more attractive for all women in general, because it looks bigger, it looks more masculine, it looks like more manly, right? Even if the second guy has more muscle and has been training for more time, the third guy is going to get more attraction just for the fact that he's bigger. Even if he has a little bit more of fat, that is not as aesthetic as the second one. The fact of being big, of being thicker, gives her more attraction, and he's going to be able to get girls wet way more than the second one. And you may think that this isn't true. That is not like that. That the jack guys cause more attraction in women. That women are usually lusting more on guys that have abs and everything, right? Now it's when it gets even more interesting. I want you to look at this, bro. So some girls would feel more sexually attracted to these guys, to what is called the dad bod. And you say like, nah, bro, like this is not true, bro. Like sometimes girls will choose and will be more into a guy that looks like this, instead of obviously way more in comparison with the first one. When I was researching all this, there were like a bunch of reasons for this. Some things like that ages, for example. But this also occurs because girls want a man that is bigger, that is like thick, that can protect them, right? So with this, I don't want you to like, okay, and then I don't have to exercise. I'm just gonna be fat so I can be bigger, or I'm gonna take steroids. No, like no, that's not the way, right? Like this guy that is, you know, he looks natural and everything, he's just a little bit bigger, is going to have way more attraction than these guys. So just have that in mind. So now that we understand this is what I think is the new meta for sexual attraction in a man. Is going back to what is called the bear mode, where you look like more muscular and thick than, you know, like super lean and all that. If you look at the guy in the middle, imagine that guy entering into a room and looking like that, right? Imagine the kind of reaction that he's going to have on women. Like those girls are going to be a little bit scared, but imagine the kind of things that he could do with them. You know, imagine the kind of energy that he would transmit. So if you just try to look like this, like more dangerous and bigger and serious, but like this is when girls are going to have like a different reaction of you. And I'm putting Max Eucida here, that's the guy in the picture, because a lot of you may think that these guys are on steroids, or that it's going to take a bunch of years or whatever. But Max Eucida achieved this physique in only 4 years of hard training. So it's totally achievable, it's totally doable as a natural. It's just a matter of bulking up, eating a proper human diet, and training as hard as possible. And you know what? Just wait a second. Max was able to achieve this in just a couple of years, so it's totally achievable without steroids and being natural. The next one that we have is working hard, and even if it sounds a little bit absurd with attracting women and getting them wet or making them feel aroused, it actually plays an important role. Because when you work hard on something, especially if it's like jobs and everything, you turn more yourself into a man. This helps you to your hyper masculine frame, and women see that and realize that you're not a boy anymore, that you are a grown-ass man that is working hard. and providing, and this is going to help you to turn them more on. So in level 0 you have the lazy fucker, that is a man that doesn't do anything, not even for himself. It's the guy that is living with his mom, his family, or just only as a parasite for society. The second one they have is plain work, and where you work in any kind of job, doesn't matter which one it is. It could be, as I started, in a restaurant, in a call center, as a cashier, whatever, right? Because just the fact of working hard on something, of the long hours, the stress, the dealing with bosses, with people, with all that shifts your mind into something different, and people notice this, because that's when you start to value your time, your actions, your focus, and all this helps you to be more masculine, because you're more aware of yourself, because you start to value yourself more. But I want you to take in consideration that even if that helps you, don't stay there. That's what put, like, don't do it like this. What you're seeing is this is a very old meme that's called the Ouija cage. This is a cage that Amazon was supposed to release for their workers, and it's supposed to like improve the productivity and everything, and then people start to make memes with that. Just look at the image. A lot of people actually work like this, right? Not like literal cages. It's just taking their soul and everything. It's not even that masculine at some point, because you're just so full of stress and you are not present and everything. You don't appreciate life. It's better for you to be working than not working at all, but you can strive for better. You can have way bigger ambitions. That's the second level, and that's when you work on something minimal for you. It doesn't matter what it is, and doesn't have to necessarily be financial. The fact that you're working on something that is meaningful for you, that has a bigger purpose. It could be you working on your physique, it could be a craft, it could be a music, art, whatever, like anything that you like but that is meaningful for you, is going to help you to enter more in this energy. And finally, we have something that is meaningful for you and others. Just to give you a very quick example, if a man is building a house, like, he already looks masculine, right? Like, a lot of people is going to respect him, a lot of people is going to look at him, and he's like an inspiration. But if a man is building a house for himself and for others, like for his community or his family or whatever, that's when it jumps to a next level. And girls actually appreciate this. That's why a man that is always like providing and everything, and at the same time something that is meaningful for them, that they actually happy doing the thing, that's something that's going to communicate that he's more like a man, like a real man. Intellectual work, sometimes even if less physical, it actually admits more masculine energy. So going back to the construction example, if you see two guys, for example, like one is the architect and the other guy is the mason. The mason is always there, like, you know, like carrying the buckets with cement and stuff, and he's doing like all the physical things, like with the shovel and everything. You may think that this guy's supposed to be more masculine because it's the one like taking more action and all that, but the architect is actually the one that's going to be, first of all, in charge, and we know that leadership is a masculine trait. And secondly, the fact that he's creating something, he's the one like not only leading, but it's actually like the responsible for the whole thing, for the whole project. It's going to make people look more up to him. He's going to have way more status, because intellectual work, it requires more of you, in a sense, more than just going there blindly and carrying a bunch of buckets. I know that masons do way more than this, but just understand the example, right? When you're the one in control of your work, you have more control, dominance, and power. So that's why intellectual work is always king. And a final step to jump into the hypermasculine brain is be the one in charge no matter what. In your work, you do this by basically managing yourself, like taking accountability for your output. Even when you're unemployed, you can be the one in charge, at least of your own work and the things that you have to deliver. But you should be in charge of as much things as you can. This goes for your family life, for your health, for your physique, your finances, but especially in your relationships. Start to be the one that is taking the decisions and making the guidance. Something important with this is that you can't just ask for this. You can't just suddenly say like, you know what, I'm now in charge. This is something that you win. And you win it by getting respect with your actions. To be perceived as a man, you can suddenly say, you know what, I'm more manly now, I'm more masculine. No, you have to turn into a man. You have to actually become the guy that deserves that respect. And to do this, you basically just leverage the other two things that we just talked about. You work hard on something meaningful, and you exercise for that very mode looking. And as soon as you have enough results, and when people start to perceive this, that's when you deserve or you can take the lead. So this is mainly you have been, for example, behaving like a loser, or others have been taking charge of stuff that you supposed to for a long time, and you can sort of just start to change things out of nowhere, right? But if you think that you deserve this right now, that you're capable of being the one in charge, then let me share a couple of things with you so you can start to implement it as soon as possible. So the first thing is the one that you see on the screen, and it's faking it until you make it. If you were used to have other people in control, it may feel uncomfortable acting different or starting to do things yourself. Like that people's already used to behaving the way that they do, and it's normal for you guys to have this dynamic. So with fake it until you make it, I want you to start to take take charge a little bit more every day, and no matter what your head says or what they start to say, you just keep going. It's gonna be kind of difficult at the beginning, but the more you do it, the better it's going to be, and the more evidence you're gonna have that you've been starting to take charge, and that's going to become part of your identity eventually. So it doesn't matter what's in your head, just keep going, keep taking your own decisions, keep going straight, and faking until you make it is going to help you a lot. For example, when I was a teen, I was dating girls. I had a voice in my head that was telling me that, that I was ugly, that I was a social weirdo, and that I shouldn't be dating girls. Like, why are they into me? I was putting in practice the things that I knew back then about making girls sexually attracted. Like the body language, the charming manners, the abundance mindset, and all that. But by my saying that I wasn't that person, I was just a virgin loser that wasn't able to attract girls. The thing is that even with that voice in my head, I just kept going. I just kept acting as it was that guy, and I did it over and over again. And any time that I have this voice in my head, I reminded of the things that I've been achieving. I reminded of the messages that I talked about at the beginning, the letters that they wrote me, the pictures that they would send, the things that they said to me, the times that I went out on days, the years I slept in my house and everything. It just kept going. I was able to stack up so much evidence that in some point the voice had to shut up. In one point, the voice was totally gone because it couldn't say anything. I already have proof that all this is like this. So what are you saying right now? It will be hard at the beginning, but the more evidence you gather, the stronger your frame is going to be. You can also, as a second tactic, communicate the changes. Now, for this one, it's mandatory that you have like healthy relationships, or that people that you're applying this is like very healthy with you. They're very open and receptive. Because if the person that you're dealing with or you're communicating this is like, stubborn, toxic, or abusive, they will never help you with you trying to be more in charge of your life, trying to be more masculine, or trying to achieve your goals. They instead will bully you. Like, they will literally laugh at you. With that kind of people, you have to ignore them and just follow the first step. There's no other way to do it. Because if you say things like that, like, I want to take more charge of my life, or I want to be more masculine, they're gonna look at you and call you gay or something like that, right? So don't waste your time trying to do this with your own people. However, sometimes talking to the right people about how you want things to be from now on, that may be worth it, because probably they actually very happy for you with this new identity, with you wanting to make things better for you, and they're going to help you to stay in this frame and achieve the things that you want. Now, let's say you have a wife, I don't know, let's call it Nicole, and the relationship is great and everything, but you've been acting like a Ken doll. It doesn't have a dig in the legs, it's just plastic, and because of that, you've been putting things on her back, and she has to act more like a man of the relationship because you haven't been enough of a man yourself. That happens a lot of relationships. I see this all the time. This is not a weird example. So you come with Nicole and say like, hey Nicole, I know I acted like a little girl for a while, and I want to be a better man for both of us. I'll start taking more of the decisions in the house, like with the finances and all relationships. And I know that you don't see me as a capable man right now, but I'm working on it. And then I'm going to make things better. If you say that to Nicole with enough conviction, you know you're going to make it. Especially if she's the kind of girl that would actually love that, bro. She would love the fact that you're finally putting some pants on, and will help you to stick to what you just said, to the person that you want to be. And you guys probably haven't had sex in a while, but just because you came and say this in such a mild way, with a deep voice, and looking her at the eyes, she started to feel a little bit more intimidating of how you're saying things now. Of how you talk slowly now, of how you're acting more like a man now. And that night, instead of a deathbed, things may be a little bit different. So it's worth some time communicating the changes. If like you're starting to exercise, for example, and if your girl, your wife, is very supportive, she start to cook like, the healthy meals for you, and making sure your gym clothes are washed and everything and on place, or reminding you of the decision like, hey, remember that you have to go and work out today. That kind of stuff. With that kind of people, it's great sharing the changes, communicating the changes. I know this is more of an ideal situation when I work with everything is right, but it can actually happen, right? I experienced that like once in life, and it's very beautiful having people like this. So in both cases, in faking until you make it and communicating the changes, the secret to step into the hypermasculine frame in general will always be holding frame. Holding frame is basically like being strong in your personality and this new identity no matter what. Like, you stick to that no matter what happens. And first of all, you do this by taking decisions and taking actions as you're this new person that you want to be, right? So let's say that it's, for example, like Sunday, and you want to like spend the whole day just like, like chilling on the couch, just watching TV. Think for yourself 1 second, like, is that what a hyper masculine man would do? Really? Like staying all day in the couch without doing anything. When you think like this, it's way easier to take the right decisions that's going to help you become more than that person. Because no, a hyper masculine man with a dick that actually works is not going to be the whole day just chilling down, like watching Netflix or whatever. He's going to be doing exciting things. I don't know, he wants to go to the beach, he wants to go on a hike, he wants to go on work, he's going to have sex with his wife, I don't know, anything. Like, he's going to be living this vibrant life full of energy and full of life, instead of just wasting time. So to hold frame, take decisions as this new person. The second thing to hold frame is doing the things that you said that you were going to do. This is very simple, bro. It's just sticking to your word. When you say that you were going to do something, bro, just keep your word. Go ahead and do it. Don't be a bitch. It's also not change your mind even with the obstacles that you will face. Like you may face some things that are very difficult, like going to make you cry, that want you to like things that this is not worth it, that this is cringe or whatever, right? When that happens, you still hold frame again. You still think that you are this new person and you don't surrender, you don't give up. You keep going in the direction that you want to go. And finally, something that's going to help you a lot to hold frame is just reminding yourself of your past achievements. As I said in the last example of me dating girls, if you have been taking action, you start to stack up evidence. Take some time, remind yourself of the things that you did, that there's evidence in the real world that you are this person. And if you don't have evidence right now, bro, just keep going until you have at least the more tiny one, even if it's just a small one, that's going to help you a lot. Like literally, bro, even if it's necessary, delude yourself on thinking that you're more masculine, you're more in charge, that you are more powerful, and start to take the actions that it's going to take you there. Don't just say this to yourself, don't do nothing. Actually take the action. If you keep holding frame, you're gonna be able to gather that small evidence, and from there everything is going to be way better. Now, with all the things that we talk about, you know that this requires some effort and hard work. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's not actually easy. You know, exercising, working hard, providing, taking the lead, doing all of that can be painful. So the more support that you can have to stay motivated, the better. When you have people that is trying to take you down, that's going to fuck everything up. Because when you want to be in this new frame, because your relationships will be better, because you will feel more like a man instead of a Ken doll, because your sex life will be astonishing and your life overall will never be the same. All this is positive for you, but for other people, it may be uncomfortable. There's two problems that usually happen here. The first one is that some people met the old you and they like you being the old you. The problem with the old you is that you didn't even like yourself. You probably didn't even like your life, you know, like crying all the time, not taking the decisions, being told by others what to do, not feeling happy, having trash relationships, dry sex, all that, right? All that was happening because of the old you. And that old you that causes all that, it also established some relationships. Now, this new you that you're becoming, it has a lot of potential traits that may bother other people. Even just for seeing you exercising, bro, they will be guys, they will be people, or even family that will start to make fun of you. And it may be for a bunch of different reasons, you know, because I don't know, you're making them feel bad with themselves. Maybe you're doing it and they wanted to do it as well, but they didn't, and because you're doing it now they feel bad. Like whatever it could be, people is weird, right? So they will try to get back the old you, because the old you didn't make them feel bad with themselves and they used to feel way more comfortable with him. They will try to convince you that the old you was more likable and even that was a better person. They will say all this, that this new version of you is cringe, that's toxic, or things like that, right? And if you actually listen to them, bro, remember that you're giving up to the new version of you that has all the things that you wanted, that was able to get girls wet just by looking at you. That guy that was able to have animalistic sex with a girl and just bang her until the point that she started to like wither and everything. That's what you're giving up if you actually listen to those guys. So the second problem is that there are some people who want or may even need you to being a non-masculine friend. They're gonna benefit for you more being a bitch. So these people will disapprove your behaviors, your actions, and anything related to this, to you becoming this new man, this hyper-masculine man, because it would represent some danger to their interests, to the things that they're getting for you now. And this could be your boss, your family, your parents, or even your woman, even your partner right now. And this is when it's really tricky because almost nobody's able to do this, but it's worth it, man. Giving up on your dreams is way worse than cutting these people off. And you don't have to go and have like a whole conversation and tell them like fuck off or anything, right? You don't have to do that. Just keep some distance, like gradually. Like the further away that you are from them, the better, right? So just go, do your stuff, because remember that they're trying to pull you back to something where you don't like yourself, that you don't actually enjoy your life, where you feel like an empty shell in comparison with the man that you could be. If you want to give up in this new version of yourself because of that, then you can go ahead and keep having sex where your dick is like half hard, half soft, and you don't even feel it that much, and have sex with your woman where she's always like praying to the skies that probably one day she could start to feel some attraction over you again. That way she doesn't have to feel bad or thinking about other men anytime that you guys sleep together. You choose. It's totally up to you. Second, if it's people that is not necessarily like pulling you back, but it's still affecting you in some way, but it's people that you just can't cut plainly, like family for example, then just try to minimize the contact, because their presence will keep reminding you of the person that you used to be, and it's going to make things harder for you. They will will act as a physical reminder of the bullshit that you did in the past, and we don't want that, right? It's already difficult doing all this. So minimize the contact in the meantime, but once you're already in this frame, once you feel like 100% comfortable with it and your results are very notorious, then you can just go and reconnect with them if you want, because they're not gonna have other option that accepts this new you. And as you feel totally comfortable with it, probably they're even gonna like it. You know, this is the new person and it's more likable, more happy, more presence. It's a win-win for everyone. You can do that anytime, but while working on it, it's gonna be necessary to keep them away. However, in general, it's better to cut them off like totally. It's not worth to have people in your life that is not going to add anything. Even if it hurts at the beginning and doing the whole thing, the truth is that people wasn't even compatible with you. You know, with the things that will make you happy, that will make you feel fulfilled and will guide you to a better life. Even if it feels difficult right now, it will be better for you in the long term. And you know, that way when you cut the people off, you can focus on the relationships that are actually helping you to become better. You know, the kind of people that is actually like supporting you and everything that's very nice with you and is actually happy with this new version of you. You can nourish those relationships, appreciate them more, make them grow, because that people really loves you. They love the real you. They love the better you, the you that is happy and strong and masculine. They really want the best for you. Do you think that people that didn't want you exercising or making money and taking charge and everything, they want the best life for you? Not, bro. They didn't give a fuck. But these new people that's generally smiling when they see you doing like this, bro, those are the ones that are worth it. So if in any moment of this whole presentation, any of what I said just felt wrong in some way, like it was like toxic masculinity, you know, what are you talking about? Taking charge, doing whatever you want, lifting up women, being dominant. If any of those kind of stuff make you feel in some way uncomfortable or that it's toxic masculinity, let me tell you, bro, you are not the one that is actually thinking that. That's not in your brain. That's not yourself. Those are beliefs that other people put into your brain. That's social conditioning, because nothing of what we just talked about is unhealthy or negative for you. You as a man, as a healthy man that want to be with women, that is full of energy and have plenty desire of a better life, this is the kind of stuff that you will feel more happy and fulfilled doing. You want to look at yourself in the mirror and look at who's that big motherfucker in there. You want to be able to literally leave your woman and carry her in your arms. You want to feel alive. The version of you that does all this is actually the better you. I would never should stop to be that kind of person. Because if you keep working on all this, bro, it could reach the point when women start to like bite their lips for you. They will start to feel like heat between their legs for how you acting, for the kind of presence that you communicating. And just to make sure that you take this seriously. There was a girl that one told me she didn't like dominating men, right? That was toxic and everything. She didn't like machistas. And in any case, with sexual dynamics and everything that we should discuss, and dominance and leadership is something that some people have and others don't. Those are the kind of thoughts that we were always discussing, right? And I made the mistake, and I'm very pissed off until today, of listening to her. It's not on her, it was totally my fault, but I listened to her and she literally started to feel disgusted for me. She was sleeping with other guys that were being dominant and masculine around her, and even they were assholes or jerks in other aspects or whatever. She was excited for meeting them. She was sleeping with those guys. I could be the guy that she logically wanted to be in a relationship with, but with me she would be dry and not wanting to have sex at all. But with the other guys, the story was different. So please be careful of this. This is not toxic, and if you want girls to get wet, bro, just follow what we've been talking about. Now we covered the hypermasculine frame. A very important part is also the body and nonverbal language, and this has a lot of weight in your interaction with women. There's a couple of things that I want to emphasize. And first of all is that most of your communication, it's actually your body language. If I have to say a percentage, it could be like 80 or even 90%. Because if you see a guy, for example, come and say like, hey, you look good, you know, like deep voice, being confident and everything, a girl can laugh at it and, you know, her face could like go red and everything. But if the same guy comes and say like, hey, you know, you look good, you're like high pitch, shaking, being all nervous, then she would think like, yeah, you know, thank you. The guy would be like a weirdo. His whole body language will transmit like this energy of, he could be needy or disgusting or gross or whatever, like anything that could be, it's going to repel the girl. That's why your body language is so important. That's why people say that it's not what you say, it's how you say. I have literally tell girls, bro, like directly, being straight, that their ass look good, that they have a nice bottom. And it's not because I was harassing them or like being creepy or anything like that, bro. I was like saying like totally chill as a compliment. Like it was nothing, right? The way that I say it, it didn't make them feel uncomfortable. And they were like even jiggling and laughing about it. And joking and all of that. That's the power of your body language. That's why it's so important how you say this stuff. I have literally called girls hoes in their face. Again, It wasn't with the intention of insulting them or whatever, and you shouldn't do that, but that's a level that you can reach, at one point eventually. And again, when I was telling them that, they were like laughing and everything and punching me in the arm and all that. It's worth it building your body language, man. You can basically say anything and you're gonna go away with it. The thing is that we always forget to apply it, and that's why we need reminders. You probably know already about body language, but that's why I'm putting it here, because we always forget it. I forget it myself. I forget to, have the deep voice, move slowly, not be shaky, keep eye contact. I forget all that because it's a bunch of stuff that I wasn't used to it, and I educated myself to learn all that, but we need reminders from time to time to keep them. So that's why I put in that part here. I gotta cut all the bullshit and going to be very straight. The most common mistakes, and this is specifically the things that I used to do, is first of all, saying sorry too much. I was saying sorry all the time. I had literally a girl telling me like, Jesus, what do you say sorry so much? That's annoying. And I thought that was me, but the truth is that I wasn't confident on myself. I was very insecure, so I was always saying sorry because I didn't want to bother anyone. Our next one is being too polite. Being educated and being a gentleman is great. I always gonna embrace that. That's something that I keep always with myself. But getting to the extremes of being polite, women get bored, man. They want you to take the initiative, right? They want you to be the one starting stuff. They want you to be what we call in Spanish atrevido, that guy that doesn't have fear of doing what he wants to do, and it's very straight with women. Like, they want you to be more like that instead of being extremely polite. The next one is high-pitched voice. This is something that can turn off women a lot. You can always modulate your voice. That's the thing. Like, we tend to, when we're nervous, like elevate or pitch, and women notice this. Zero eye contact or like evasive eye contact. When you're saying stuff and you will like always look into the sides, or like not trying to look at her because you're feeling nervous. Having tics like biting your nails, moving your legs, scratching like your scalp and neck, any kind of sign that makes you look like you're nervous, because probably you are, is going to make the interaction way weaker, man. And finally, sweating. I know this is not something that you necessarily can control. You can, in my opinion, if you do a couple of the things that I'm going to tell you, but it looks disgusting, man. When girls know that like the palm of your hands is sweating and everything just by speaking to them, bro, that's kind of gross. Like, a girl's not going to be turned on because of that, right? Effective body language and how to like reverse all this that we just talked about. I'm going to give you a tactic soon, so you can apply all this without like having a list and everything. Slow movement. You act like you relax, very chill. Deep breathing help a lot with this. Like, literally just take some time when you're with a girl, and it doesn't have to necessarily be like that, but you can do it like normally, like you're there and you just taking your time to breathe. That's going to help you to actually move slower at the same time, because it's going to make you feel way more relaxed. And the more relaxed you are, the more confident you look. It's like you don't care about the rest. You're not nervous about anything. You're way secure about yourself. Deep voice. Girls feel way attracted to deep voices because it's like more manly. It's like a sign of high testosterone. I don't even have myself a crazy deep voice, right? It's not only about like the pitch of your voice itself. It's more like about the tone and the way that you say this stuff, right? A very good way to try to emulate this is when you feel like your chords here vibrating. That's when you know that you are in a very good tone. You're not using what is called like the box voice, like the one that it comes from the throat. Like, for example, if I wanted to speak like that, then I would be like talking from here, like talking quick and everything. That's not the kind of voice that we want. Women notice that. We want to like the one that comes from the stomach. Like, I don't know how to call that muscle in English. Like the abdominal one. Like that the voice that comes from there is way deeper and it's way more sexy. In general, this takes a little bit more of practice. So if you want to focus on it, you can like look for tutorials on YouTube and stuff. But a very quick trick is just try to always vibrate like your chest, your stomach, and a little bit of your throat when you're speaking. Then fill your words with emotions, and this is like not talking always like plain and boring. Like, talking being nervous and shaky is bad, but being boring in the way you speak and communicate yourself, it's also a killer. So when you're talking, fill your words with emotion. When you're explaining something, make her feel like this charming man inside of you. And you do this being sarcastic with pride and authority. That's the kind of sense that you want to put when you're talking about things that you're passionate about. The next one is pause. And it's taking the right time and making the right pauses when it's necessary. Those very small silences are going to put a lot of tension when you're talking with girls. That you may be uncomfortable with them from time to time, but that's a skill you have to master. If you know how to master pauses, bro, I'm telling you, that's something that can bring a lot of excitement to your interactions. Just by speaking, you can turn her on. For real. I'm not joking. Just by speaking. she can start to get wet. Strong eye contact is the next case of this. You know, the opposite of the weak eye contact that most guys have. Don't be weird. Like, look at her, the eyes from time to time, and when you're talking about something specific, just keep looking at her. I remember a trick for a very old book saying that when you focus like in one of the eyes instead of both, it's way easier, and it's totally true. Like you look, for example, like at left eye, it doesn't feel that weird. It doesn't feel like you're looking at her whole face and everything, and you can hold a very strong eye contact. You're not going to feel as nervous. Literally, the next time that you're talking with a girl, try to get it there. Look at her left eye. Do this like, let's say, like 80% of the time, and 20% of the time, like look at any other stuff. Look at the environment. Look at yourself, at your hands, the way you move, and that kind of stuff, right? Don't overthink this, because that's when it's going to feel uncomfortable instead of sexy. But at the same time, like, just have a little bit in mind. Occupy space. That is, when you are in an environment, like, don't hesitate in general to move yourself around. For example, open your legs when you are in the chair. Walk with an open chest. Be straight. Like, don't hesitate to, you know, like, try to not bother anyone. Like, for people to not make him feel your presence. Like, act like a lion would do in his own space, like a gorilla or something like that, right? Like, they don't care about the rest, because they're the alpha. They're the one that has more power, and because of that, they're secure of themselves. They have confidence in themselves. So just act like this, and this is something that would put some tension on girls as well. And finally, we have passion gestures. This comes very similar with the act of feeling your words. You're explaining something, you're moving yourself, you're moving your body, you're making gestures with your face and everything. You don't have to be like a clown. Don't over exaggerate this. As I've been saying, you're there just telling your stuff, but keep that in mind. Feel your speech in general and your stories with emotions, the things that you're telling, right? And it's going to help a lot. That's going to make you look way more charming. Girls like charming men, so they like gentlemen. They like people that knows this. Now, I want you to be careful when you're using all this, and also with the humor. That's what I have here, the clown versus the gentleman. So a lot of people would say that, alright, but when it comes to personality and charisma, humor is the biggest thing. Like, the more you can make laugh a girl, the more she's gonna be into you. That's all that you need. Is that true? Alright, let's look at what charisma says. So charisma, it says that it's a person's ability to attract, influence, and lead others through their magnetic personality and persuasive communication skills. So it doesn't have to be anything with you serving other people, doing anything for the sake of other people. It's attract, influence, and lead others through your personality. With humor especially, the clown would do something like this, using something like self-degrading humor, like making fun of himself in any way, calling himself stupid. I remember even a couple of jokes that they were very popular a couple of years ago, when they would talk about they being ugly and everything and that kind of stuff, right? Like how shit was their life, and using that as a joke, man. That's lame. That's disgusting. Like, have some respect for yourself, please. They will also use humor as the best resource that they have. Like, it's the best way that you have to get girls along with you, you know, to attract them, to be into you. When you do this, the funny stuff is that they actually don't, you know, they start to see you as that, as a clown, as the only good thing that you have to provide is some laughs, even if that's making you look like a total loser, right? He doesn't care that much about himself or the stuff that matters to him, or the things that he wants to talk about. He doesn't care about that, right? His biggest goal is actually get people to laugh so they can like him, with the hope that they give them back a little bit of attention. That usually never happens. So with the gentleman, we have, first of all, what is called arrogant humor. That is the best kind of humor you can have with a girl in general, right? This is where you position yourself as you're handsome, as you're charming. This is something that people call cocky and funny. This is where you talk about yourself with a lot of pride, and even sometimes exaggerating some stuff. People can feel, and especially girls, how much confidence you have in yourself when you say it, right? Secondly, instead of using humor as your best resource, you're just a funny guy. Like, that's the person that you are. You use humor whenever you want, and because you feel like it. You know, that's it. When you tell a joke, it's because you just want to tell it. You don't care about anything else. You go, you say your thing, and that's it. And if nobody laughs, what do you care? Like, you're not saying it for them, you're saying it for yourself. And finally, instead of telling jokes according to other people's personality, you're saying it because of your personality, because you want to laugh, because you're the one that wants to understand the jokes, and you're just telling that to people so they can like get into it, right? You're inviting them to your world. You're not asking for their approval, and that's what I call the gentleman versus the clown. And when it comes to sex directly, humor doesn't make her feel aroused, but it makes easier the way to that by, first of all, putting her guards down. When you make a girl laugh and everything, when you're being funny with her and all that, and she starts to jiggle with you and play with you, she stops feeling uncomfortable and awkward around you. She starts to feel better with you. It's a positive emotion that she's relating to you, and because of that, you know, she could be more chill and relaxed. That's putting her guards down. And secondly, by amplifying the confidence that you have in yourself and your frame. When you're being funny, when you're telling jokes and everything, and you're making her laugh, imagine that you were and you be like arrogant, cocky, and funny, and she's responding and everything, how would you feel anytime that she like literally laughs and touches your arm and everything, right? You're going to feel pretty dang good. You're maybe even going to feel that she's more into you because of how receptive she is to all the things that you're saying, right? As I said, humor is not the thing that is making her feel aroused or like making her wet on everything. But then when you made this switch to, for example, be more sexy or be more directly, because if she likes you more, then she's going to be way more receptive at these new things that you've been saying. She already like kind of bonded to you, like she made a little bit of an emotional connection, and that's why she's going to accept you more once you start to like jump into this sexual frame. Very good example of this is a very old meme that I think that this meme was more popular into the Spanish community. This is like a very old meme that people used to publish in like in Facebook groups and stuff. It makes sense, right? You understand the message. So in real life practices for all this, first of all, choose a character that you can replicate, because okay, you can take note of all the things that I just say in the body language and everything, and think like, all right, slow movements, deep breathing, deep voice, tell jokes this way and all that, but it's kind of overwhelming, and that's what I don't want for you. I don't want you to be overwhelmed, because I know that it's a bunch of information. So the best way to actually do this and assimilate all the body language and all the practices is to see someone that is doing it and try to copy him as much as you can. If you don't see someone like this in real life, take the characters from the movies or the series, and if you don't watch movies or series like me, for example, you can also, in the books that you're reading, like imagine the character of those guys or the people that you're actually looking up to. Like think how they would act when they're around women. That's the fastest way to get those kind of behaviors and those kind of manners. Like literally choose a character or someone that you can replicate and do your best to do that. The next one is visualize yourself as you want to be. You see those characters that we already talked about. Anytime you're going to interact with a girl, you want to step in this frame of being, you know, the gentleman, of being charming, having a strong body language. Just literally close your eyes for a couple of seconds. It doesn't have to be like for real long. I mean, you can do this in other sessions as well, but just close your eyes from time to time. Think about how you would act, right? Think about those situations. That's going to actually help you a lot, because you already have like a mental image, a mental picture of how you will look doing those things, and it's not going to be like that strange to you, like that weird to you anymore. So it's worth it to just take in a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes from time to time, or every day if you want, to visualize yourself as the person with this strong body language. And finally, practice with friends if you want, and girls eventually. It doesn't have to be like in a sexual manner or like you're dating them or whatever. Just practice with your family and your friends. Not obviously you're not doing like anything around attraction. Just act like this man, like this gentleman, like deep voice, move slowly, eye contact, like those kind of things. Just try to keep those that you know are normal in those interactions. And with girls, try to be a little bit more polarizing, like even with your female friends. Anytime you have a chance of interacting with other girls, use this as much as you can, and obviously the more you practice, the better. Now with the characters that you may choose, I put a couple of the ones that I look at myself when thinking about this, right? This is literally the characters that I was replicating when I was doing this for myself. We have Cary Grant, a very chivalrous man from those days. We have Thomas Shelby, Tony Stark, Lucifer, and Dr. House. Something that all those guys have. Again, they're very cocky, they're very confident in themselves, they're very secure. What I want you to do is like take the better traits of every of them and the ones that are actually more aligned with your personality and replicate them, and literally like embrace more those traits. Obviously, like the bad ones, take them out. You have to like be in the mafia like Thomas, or be an asshole like Dr. House. But I just want you to take the best that you can from them and apply it to your life. So those are the ones that I use because again, they're very confident, they're very serious, they have a strong body language, they're cocky and funny from time to time, they know how to use sarcasm, they all know how to do with women, they're very charming. Those are character traits that I wanted more in myself and just take them. When I was watching those movies and series, I was impressed of the way they move and everything. Like literally just a character and use it for your benefit. Finally, we have psychological excitement, and this is going to be way more straight to the point, but it has this very, very strong impact. You're gonna see it right now. So anticipation, I want you to look at this graph very, very close, because this is gonna be very, very important. There's three phases. That is anticipation, that is like expecting the thing; consumption, literally doing the thing; and satiation, that is after you finish with the thing. You know, this is kind of what happens in the brain when an event is happening that is likable, beneficial, that has a reward, right? If you look at this very closely, it looks like anticipation is almost like nothing, right? And everything happens in consumption. But the biggest rise that you see in this is the bridge between anticipation and consumption. Like literally before something happening is when the brain reacts the most, because even in the act of doing the thing or consuming the thing, right, it's very flat. You can see it here. Like yeah, there's a rise and everything, but it's very flat. And even in the biggest point of satiation, it's not that big, the peak, but there's a massive rise between anticipation and consumption. Not doing the thing as you see. Like, it's not here doing the thing when it's the biggest rise. It's here just before doing the thing or receiving the thing is when there's more excitement, is where there's more activity in the brain. And this is way more effective with women. So if you want to get women aroused and wet and being excited over you, you have to make them anticipate what's going to happen, but not giving the thing, like not reaching to the point of consumption. You don't want to be there yet. You want to play with them as much as you can. That feeling of excitement before the thing. So you do this by 3 ways. The ones you see on the top. First of all, like being sexy but not nasty or explicit. You can do this, for example, when you guys are texting. Some guys are very nasty and they start to sound like dick pics and random or saying stuff like, yeah, I want to eat you all tonight, and that kind of stuff, right? That's not actually likable for women. Like, yeah, okay, so some girls may be a little bit into that, but if you want to cause a better reaction, what you have to do is like play games with them. Like, instead of, for example, of sending a dick pic, you can send a picture of yourself, I don't know, like going out of the shower or something like that with a towel and everything, and you're body looking sexy, and say like, hey, I just came out of the shower, you know, stuff like very subtle. You know, you're not like showing your dick or anything, you're being naked. You're just like giving her a little bit of that sexy vibe, and that anticipation is going to cause her to like wanting to see you naked, for example, and stuff like that, right? That's the kind of things that are going to make her feel aroused. You don't do this by being very directly, but being like subtly sexy, you know, just by being sexy, like not nasty or very explicit. Just keep it right before the line. You also do this by making her visualize. So for example, when you guys are talking and speaking, try to like implant a thought in her mind of you guys doing sexy stuff, of you guys being alone. Say things like, if we were a couple or if we were together, even if you guys are in a relationship, if you say stuff like this, that's going to make her visualize in some way. Like, yeah, okay, that's what would happen if we were together. I remember that there was a girl that I was dating and she was like in the next state, and we were in a video call, for example, on FaceTime. We were talking about what we would do together, and I would say things like, imagine when we see each other and we have like the opportunity to kiss after all this time. And I would see him going red because I just said something that she has to imagine unconsciously. Just by me saying it, she had to solely imagine it. Like, the thing is not happening yet, but it's happening in her mind. When you make her visualize, that state of anticipation starts to happen. Especially if she actually wants it to happen, right? But trying to imply those little thoughts in her mind is something that is going to help. Now again, follow the first rule. Don't be nasty or explicit and say like, yeah, imagine when we're going to fuck. Like, yeah, you can say something like that, but only when you know that it's appropriate and that it's secure. And especially if it goes with your energy. If not, bro, like, don't even risk it. And finally, reward her in bits. So reward her in bits. Instead of giving her the full thing, like the full action, basically just show a little bit of what you're going to give her. That way she creates that state of anticipation. She's going to enjoy way more of whatever is going to happen next. There's a very specific sexual technique that will like wonder with girls when you're having sex with them, that get her wet a lot, and she literally had to start to say like, put her inside of me as soon as possible. If you want to know more about the specific sexual techniques, you can check my program below in the description. But before sex, there's a lot of ways that you can reward her, and like this little bit, like for example, instead of giving her like a full 10-second kiss, like you guys making out, like just give them a little bit, like very passionate, very straight for 2-3 seconds, and then just quit it. Like, go and do something else or whatever. Like, leave her with the desire of wanting more. Let her like in that state of anticipation the most that you can, right? That's one of the moments where she's gonna feel the most aroused for you, where she's like almost getting into this state of being sexy, but suddenly it's like taken out from her. You can, for example, like pass the finger around her arm, like sort of liquidated, or around her legs, or like touching the thighs close by her and then just taking out. It could also be verbally with compliments and stuff, saying things about that you guys are going to do together, or telling her some romantic stuff from time to time, but just being a little bit instead of the full action. That way she can anticipate what she's going to get eventually. So again, be sexy, make her visualize, and reward her in bits. Then we have fantasies and imagination, and I'm gonna put myself here. I don't want you to underestimate the power of this. When I learned this stuff, bro, something just clicked in my mind and everything changed. Because women focus on this more than you actually think, right? Women, when it comes to men, they're always fantasizing and imagining things about them, right? For some reason, that's how feminine women work, and you see this all the time. That's why a lot of women, when you go into relationships, they're always like wondering if you're cheating on them or whatever. It's not only because they feel insecure, they always like having fantasies, and they have like a very open imagination. When I was younger, there was something called Wattpad. I don't know if it's popular today. It was where literally girls would go write down fanfics and books or novels about, it was usually like erotic and soft porn stories about the girl itself, the author, and some character that they would like, some actors, some fictional character or stuff like that. And this was full of women, bro. Like some of them were even like way younger, like 13-year-old girls. But there was a lot of 18, 20, 21 girls like literally reading that every day. That's why I know that this is actually true. Girls invest a lot in fantasies and imagination. And not only in what, but like in books and movies and everything. Like, do you remind 50 Shades of Grey? That book was like it makes a bunch of sense. It make a lot of money. It was so popular. And the book is kind of like porn, right? Like very explicit with the things that are saying and anything. And the book was basically porn. It was just women, like mainly women. The one that were reading the book, it wasn't men. I never read the book. I think I tried once. It was very disgusting. And from all the men that I knew that read that book, they say the same. But women love it. Women literally enjoy that. And it's because women don't actually enjoy porn itself. As we discussed before in anticipation, they don't like things being very explicit or like receiving the whole thing, right? They like more visualizing, imagining, like just receiving a little bit of the bits. They like to be in that state of anticipation. They like fantasizing. And that's why that damn book was so popular. And even the movies that you see right now that are getting kind of popular for women, like 365 Days and stuff like that, they have like this kind of vibe. As you see, it's literally the same character over and over again. It's always the same character. Believe me, the next time that you see a new sex appeal in a movie or in a book for a woman, it's gonna be that guy that is like, you know, mysterious and kind of rich and fit and everything and all that. It looks like this guy here, right? He has like this strong personality, is masculine and all that, because that's the kind of archetype, that's the kind of man that women usually fantasize over. If you stimulate that part of her in some way, if you get her to fantasize or imagine things about you, then she's going to lust over you, making her feel way more aroused and at the end wet. Now, the funny stuff is that if you show this to a woman, like to one of your female friends, she may say that, you know, all we talk about is actually cringe. That is not true. She's not that kind of girl. She doesn't have fantasies. She doesn't imagine it. Or that she doesn't like guys like Christian Grey. She may say that she's not like that, like all the other girls. And that she doesn't like a masculine man because, you know, that's toxic, that's machista. She doesn't care about the muscles or whatever, you know. There's gonna be girls that they will literally say, you know, that they like skinny guys that are shy, soft, humble, you know, like more nerdy, or just other type of guys. You may think that I'm joking or whatever, but I met girls that literally say this, and that's why I mentioned it. There's women that are like this. So in any case, bro, if you ever find something like this, literally don't get fooled. They're lying. They totally lying. Women will tell you all this and then would go with the guy that do all the opposite. That already happened to me. They're gonna say all that and then go and do totally the opposite. They're gonna be sleeping, craving, getting wet, and getting aroused for the guys that is doing the other stuff. And you believe if any moment a girl or a woman that says something like that, then you know that they like skinny guys, shy guys, or whatever, you're already being fooled. Because the guy that they crave, that they desire, the guys that they're reading about, watching the movies, and literally thinking themselves thinking about him, is not any of that. It's not a skinny shy guy. It's this guy, right? They literally made movies, books, and series about these kind of guys, and you see how popular this is. It's not a coincidence, man. This has a reason, and I'm telling you which one it is. Avoid getting fooled. Okay, let me do myself again here. Okay, if you want to make her feel anticipation and fantasize over you, don't tell her everything that you do, especially things that she doesn't give a fuck, right? If you feel like talking about it, like, okay, you can go ahead and everything, but try to keep all this stuff around you to yourself. Give her some mystery, give her something to think about, let her fantasize about you. I fell into the trap for a long time of believing that I should tell everything to my girl, and I did it, and because of that she literally got bored of me. She literally got bored of me eventually. We were like best friends and everything. It was great, the part of communication. I could always talk to her. But when it came to her sex life or like how much she was into me, bro, that was non-existent. I was more like her gay friend, like her female friend that she could tell everything and I could tell everything to her. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. I'm pretty sure that's not what you want. Like, you can have great communication, be very open with your partner and everything, but there's some stuff that she doesn't need to know. You probably don't even want to tell her, right? Like, as a rule in general, don't tell her stuff that is unnecessary or that she's gonna be bored about, because you're not making her a favor. She's not enjoying it. So why do you want her to go through stuff that is uncomfortable for her, that is awkward for her, that she doesn't enjoy? And if she says to you like, no, but you know what, love, I actually love anytime you talk about that, don't believe her. She doesn't know what she's saying. She's actually getting bored, but she just don't want to hurt your feelings. And even when she literally believes that, women are great to delude themselves. As a general rule, just don't tell her stuff that she doesn't want to hear about and is boring as fuck. Leave it there. Then make yourself a character. As we talked before in the part of the body language, try to emulate those characters traits, but when it comes to your life, make it you seem like you are the main character of a movie. Like, be so exciting that when she looks at you, she can't even imagine of what you could be doing. Like, literally make yourself a character. Live your life like it's a movie. And when you do this, she's going to fantasize over you in the same way as she does with the fiction characters. And how do you make yourself a character? Like, directly just fill your life with adventures. Find some exciting stuff to do every day that you can either talk about or tell stories, or that you're gonna be proud of yourself. And if you're so busy living your life and doing exciting stuff, she has the chance to fantasize about you, because it's like you're not with her all the time, and during the time that you're not with her, she has to think like, what is he doing then? Let her think like, what he may be doing right now. Probably he's with the next girl or hiking, like any kind of silly stuff, bro. But just fill your life with very adventures, with a vibrant life that girls want to be part of. That's how you make yourself a character. Literally do as much interesting thing as you can every single day. Finally, this is a very good personal trick. I really want you to appreciate this, and next time you put it in practice, just thank me, right? I'm Latino, right? And something that I learned since I was very young, and that basically every man that was attractive told me, dancing is one of the fastest way to attract a woman, to get her to be into you. And now that I'm older, now that I studied this, it makes a lot of sense. Especially like Latino dances like salsa and bachata. That type of music is literally called erotic salsa or erotic bachata. Why do you think it's that? If you ever saw any of those couples dancing, it's because the way that they move their bodies is in a very sexual way, it's in a very sexual energy. And the lyrics and the song and everything and the whole environment, they put them like in this state of a sexual vibe. As we're talking about fantasies, anticipation, and imagination. With dancing, you're basically like replicating a little bit in the way you move your hips and the way you move yourself, like a sexual act, like an erotic act, but not being directly, not being straight. It's just a very sexy way to move. That way women can fantasize and imagine you and anticipate, like for example, like the way that you move your hips, or how good you would be in bed, or how sexy you are in general. Women literally think about that. Like the same way that when we see women dancing like that, we can imagine how they would be in bed. It's not very strange for us as men to do that, and it's not strange for women to do the same. It's very worth learning how to dance properly, especially those kind of Latino dances, if you want to cause this effect on women. And finally, treat her like the first date. When you're already in a relationship, a lot of this stuff can actually be lost eventually, right? It's difficult to get her to fantasize over you, or to have some anticipation when you guys have been together for a while and you've been seeing at each other and everything, and maybe like even together. That's usually why the couples in the long term, like they lost all the sexual vibes and all the sexual energy. But it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. If you try to keep the same energy like the first day that you met her, you can always be having like this polarization and this vibrant sexual energy over and over again. And as you know her very well for the time you've been with her, it's gonna be easier for you to like do the things that you know that she likes, right? So you can use this as an advantage. Treat her like the first date is very direct advice to say, like, just don't forget that even if you guys have been together for a while, there's a lot of excitement in your relationship still, and you can keep it like that forever, especially if it's someone that you want to spend like the rest of your life. But in the moment you stop seeing her as a lover and more of like, you know, like a friend, a partner, someone that is just there, that's when things are lost, right? It's not because of the time you guys have been together, but it's because you stop this dynamic. Take some time to revive that way the sexual energy can come back and you guys can have a way more enjoyable sex life. I know that all that we just covered was a lot of information, but I guarantee you, bro, if you do what I just tell you, sooner than later, this is what you're gonna start to see basically every day. This is what you're gonna be always getting, bro. This is going to be your view 24/7. So I want you to take this seriously, bro. Like, literally trust me, if you put in practice all this, it's gonna be worth it. There's no any other way, and there's no other advice that's going to make things better than all this that I just told you. It's totally worth it, and it may take some time, but if you really want girls to be so into you that this is what you see, then please just listen to me. Now, a bunch of you all have been waiting for this specific tactic, so I'm going to give it to you, no problem. Now, let's say that you already get into a girl, you guys are very close to having sex. How do you take all that we just learned in the act itself? First of all, dominate, command, and take the lead. The way that we put the hyper-masculine friend and everything in a sexual way is by telling her what to do. It's not like, you know, like there you're shy and everything, wondering what's going to happen next and all that. Instead of that, you literally act as a man. Like, even if you don't know that much what to do or you're not that secure, try in some way to like dominate, command, and take the lead. Let's just tell her what to do or what would you like her to do, and be secure and confident in yourself. The easiest way to do this, for example, is like taking her to give you oral sex and keeping her there as long as you can. You guys, for example, could be kissing, and then you just put like your hand close by the neck, or even in the skull, and gradually start to take her, you know, like going down to between your legs, and she knows intuitively what to do, right? Other thing that you could do is like command her to get on her knees, and when you say this, you have to sound very confident, very insecure. You can't say this like, could you get on your knees? Don't say it like that, because they're gonna laugh, especially if it's very strange. It depends on the dynamic that you have with the girl, but if you do this properly, then she's going to listen to you, right? You guys know what's going to happen, so you can literally tell her like, get on your knees. And as you guys have been making out and everything, then just take out your thing, put it in her mouth, letting her do the thing. And very important, put your hand in his skull and try to control the pace as you go. If it's necessary, grab her a little bit by the hair and keep controlling the pace as you go. That's going to demonstrate dominance, control, and power. Then, hold frame. Like when you guys are already in the act, don't get nervous and don't treat her differently. This is something I used to do a lot, man. I really regret it. When I was close to have sex with girls, and even in the middle act, I started to be shy or be nervous that I could like, I don't know, like harm in some way, because my thing is like very thick. but yeah, it was like kind of holding myself back, like not going that hard, like asking always, are you okay? Do you feel good? Like I've been always acting, you know, like this masculine guy that's going to do the thing, and then in the moment of having sex, that's when I bitch out. That's going to turn her off, man. Like I could literally feel how she started to get dry and the movement started to go like with more friction and everything. Avoid that. Just hold frame. Just keep acting masculine and keep going to do things the way you like. Don't bitch out. Don't get nervous. Don't treat her differently. Once you guys are doing the thing, go primal. Like literally go and pound her as much as you can, as fast as you can. Like obviously you have to calibrate at the same time. It's not like you're going there like a dog, because then it doesn't have like that much of connection and everything. Like sex is a beautiful act and it's like a dance. You have to like sync with your partner. However, a lot of men usually just go like this, like very slow and everything. It's just boring. It's like they're masturbating with the body of someone else, and that's disgusting, man. You have to go primal, go animalistic, escalate with your girl when you literally pounding her to the point that you have to like start to control your breath. It's like you're working out and everything. Like you feel so aroused, and she as well, that at the end she has to start like they like twisting and everything, like getting contractions and stuff. That's what you're going to get. And by chance, if you want to learn all this and actually reach to that point, you can check the link in the description below. I have a program for that, as I said before. After finishing, once you guys finish having sex, like the session ended, you go back to your gentleman frame, right? To your masculine frame. The two mistakes that men usually do after the post-nut clarity is, first of all, acting like an asshole, where they don't literally pay attention to the girl anymore. They just want to go out there and they jump to the shower or whatever. If it's a girl you like, okay, I understand, but you shouldn't be harsh or disrespectful. Treat her as a human being, as a gentleman would do. If it's necessary, call her a taxi. Make sure she reaches safe to home. Take care of her and everything. Ask her how she feels. Give her a compliment. Tell her that you really enjoyed the night. Stuff like that, right? Just be a gentleman. And the second thing is that after sex, then they start to act like they would start to be like very emotional and everything. And so some guys would even cry, man, after having sex. And if it's a beautiful experience, okay, I understand, but try to like keep in your masculine frame, as we said, right? Like even after that, keep being masculine, keep being the man in control of yourself and the environment. It's not like because you guys already slept, then okay, you don't have to do anything anymore. Remember that this is not something that you're faking. This is actually you, and you have to act like this all the time, right? So in any case, keep in the gentleman and the masculine frame, and all will be good. Now I want you to always have in mind that first of all, most of your arousal is actually going to come before sex. Like if you go directly to these strategies, or if you wait for her to have sex with you, it's not going to make sense, right? Because you can't dominate, command, and take the lead, or like do any of this if you are not a masculine man yourself, if you don't have confident body language, if you don't know how to make her like anticipate and fantasize over you, if you don't do all that beforehand, this is going to make anything. She's not going to feel all this. She's going to like laugh at you because it's like you're trying to fake it, right? The specific sex strategies, they work, yes. Can it make her feel wet? Yes, but at the same time, you need to be always working on the psychological factor. Also because the psychological factors will 10x your sex performance itself. Like to do these things, for example, the more that you jump in the other stuff, the better you're gonna be able to perform this. Imagine, for example, like if you were the guy that we just talked with that physique, the very muscular physique, how easy it would be for you to dominate, command, and take the lead, to tell her to get on her knees, right? If you were that big and muscular. It would feel very natural, right? You may be confident that the gears are going to actually listen to you. Same thing with going primal. And with things like holding frame and everything, and like the way that you speak and all that, if you have a confident body language, that will be easy. So you need to build that stuff in order to have better sex. Finally, if you skip them, As mentioned, you will suffer what was my destiny. For years, I focused only on the sexual stuff. And to be honest, it was worth it. I don't regret. But if you don't work in the other stuff, it's not going to work, right? You're always going to be slacking on something. Years not going to take you seriously. And that's going to just make the relationship worse and worse. It's going to reach to the point, as it happened to me, where she's going to go with an ex-man because you're not able to satisfy her. And even if you're learning all the stuff and putting the practices, like where to touch her and finding the spots and everything, and even with all that, bro, she's going to go with an next man because you're not masculine enough, you're not exciting, you don't look confident with yourself, you're not that much of a man, and I really don't want that for you. So please take that into consideration and apply all the things that you just learned today as much as you can. Thank you for looking to all this, man. I know it was a bunch of information, but I know I'm very excited for you because I know this is going to change everything for you, right? This is going to help you a lot, as it did for me. This totally changed my life, and I'm very grateful for being able to share this with you all. I gonna see more men having control of their love and sex life as much as they can. That's why I'm doing this. So let's go, man. See you later.